Welcome, everyone. We're diving into what feels like a really significant moment in the digital asset world today. For years, one particular cryptocurrency has been, well, operating under this considerable cloud of legal uncertainty. And frankly, that's cast a long shadow, not just over its own future, but maybe over a big part of the digital finance landscape too. Imagine trying to build something revolutionary, but you're constantly battling in court. Innovation often takes a back seat, right? But now, well, it feels like we're at a major turning point. A resolution, maybe long awaited, that promises some immediate impact and honestly some really exciting future potential. So today, we're zeroing in on exactly that, the recent incredibly important conclusion of a major legal challenge involving the cryptocurrency XRP. We're going to try and dissect what this development really means, not just for XRP's path forward, but maybe for the whole ecosystem of digital assets.
That's exactly right. And our goal here today is really to help you cut through all the noise surrounding this. There's been a lot. We want to deliver some clear, maybe actionable insights. We'll explore the biggest implications of this resolution, maybe uncover some surprising facts along the way, and really help you understand how this kind of historic moment seems poised to reshape the landscape for XRP and potentially, the broader digital asset space, letting innovation finally take center stage, hopefully.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. For what felt like, I don't know, an eternity. It was actually 4 long years, XRP and its associated company, Ripple, have been locked in this courtroom drama with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC.
Right, since 2020.
Yeah, way back in 2020. And honestly, it's just been this constant source of doubt for so many in the crypto world. It effectively kind of froze certain aspects of XRP's development and adoption just because of the sheer uncertainty it created.
Absolutely. That uncertainty is killer.
But the air just cleared. We've had a major announcement. The crypto community is absolutely buzzing about it. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, he publicly confirmed that Ripple has officially dropped its cross-appeal against the SEC.
Right.
And for anyone wondering, that cross-appeal, it basically meant Ripple had also appealed parts of the earlier rulings they didn't agree with. So dropping it, it signals this full commitment from both sides to just put this whole really long legal saga behind them for good.
Yeah, closing the chapter.
Exactly. Garlinghouse's words were pretty clear. They are closing this chapter once and for all.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is the specifics of the resolution they actually reached. So Ripple agreed to pay a $50 million settlement.
Okay.
Now, $50 million, it sounds like a substantial figure, and it is, but it's actually remarkably lower than what was being talked about in earlier negotiations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were hearing figures maybe closer to $125 million floated around, so $50 million is quite a significant reduction.
Right.
But maybe even more importantly, this deal doesn't just resolve the payment side. It crucially removes the court's existing restrictions on Ripple's ability to sell XRP directly to institutions.
Oh, okay, that's key.
That is absolutely key. It's a potential game changer. It essentially throws the doors wide open for significant new business opportunities for Ripple. It lets them engage directly with major financial players, think banks, payment processors, the kind of players who were maybe hesitant before or even unable to engage because of that legal cloud.
Right, the risk factor.
Exactly. This potentially moves those partnerships from just, hypothetical chats to actual concrete deals.
So what does this really mean for Ripple's bigger picture, their long-held vision? For years, they've talked about this goal of building the Internet of Value, right? Where money, financial transactions can move across borders just as easily, as seamlessly, as instantly as information does today over the Internet. But before, you can imagine the friction. Every potential partner had to weigh the benefits against that pretty significant regulatory risk.
Huge risk.
Now, with these legal uncertainties seemingly out of the way, Ripple can focus fully on making that vision a reality, connecting financial institutions, facilitating global payments with XRP kind of at its core without being held back by the specter of ongoing litigation.
Yeah, it's really about unlocking the true utility, you could say, of the XRP ledger itself.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for a lot of people.
Okay.
The immediate market reaction. It was, well, nothing short of rapid and positive. As soon as the announcement broke, XRP's price jumped more than 3%.
Right away.
Right away. And that was just the start. Within just 24 hours, it surged by a total of 5.5%.
Wow.
And it reached its current trading level, which is around $2.20. So it wasn't just a small blip. It felt like a clear demonstration of collective relief,
Yeah.
and renewed confidence.
Definitely. And this raises a really important question, I think. what exactly is behind this surge, because it doesn't seem to be just, speculative retail trading. We're seeing significant activity from what are known as whale wallets.
Ah, the whales.
Yeah, these are addresses holding massive amounts of XRP, essentially very large individual investors or maybe institutions. Their moves often signal a deeper conviction.
Okay.
And in just the past few days alone, these large holders have accumulated about 5.8 billion. That's billion with a B XRP tokens to their holdings.
5.8 billion. That's huge.
It's not small change. It's a really strong signal of deep, entrenched investor confidence. It suggests they believe in the long-term potential and the stability that this legal clarity now provides.
It's like a very tangible vote of confidence, isn't it, from the people with the most skin in the game?
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, beyond just the price action and the large holders, there's another really strong indicator of positive sentiment. That's the network activity for XRP itself.
Okay, what's happening there?
Well, since March, there's been a pretty remarkable 400% increase in network activity.
400%.
400%. That means more transactions, more users, a higher velocity, more XRP moving across the network.
So it's not just trading, it's usage.
It seems like it reflects real increased utility and adoption of the cryptocurrency within its ecosystem. It's not just about the price. More activity often signals more fundamental use cases being explored or maybe activated, which then helps support the price and its underlying value.
Right.
It suggests a potentially healthy and growing ecosystem, not just some momentary speculative bump. It's a strong indicator of utility.
Okay, so the illegal cloud is lifted, the market's reacting positively, network activity's up. What's the next big thing everyone's looking at, the next potential catalyst? It seems to be the potential for an XRP exchange-traded fund, or ETF.
Ah, yes, the ETF buzz.
Exactly. For those who might be less familiar, an ETF in the crypto space, well, it would be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because it essentially creates a regulated, traditional investment vehicle, mainly for institutions.
Right. Makes it easy for the big money.
Totally. Instead of buying and holding XRP directly, which can be complex for large financial players, custody issues, regulatory concerns, an ETF would let them gain exposure to XRP's price movements through a structure they already know, like a stock.
Familiar territory.
Exactly. And this potentially opens the door for much, much larger institutional investments, bringing in capital on a scale we really haven't seen yet for XRP.
Yeah, that institutional floodgate idea.
And the anticipation for an XRP ETF is very real, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brad Garlinghouse himself, Ripple's CEO, has kind of hinted that an approval for an XRP ETF could come as early as mid-2025.
Mid-2025, that's not that far off.
No, it's potentially just around the corner. It keeps the momentum going, potentially.
And, to put some actual data behind that anticipation, if you look at the prediction market, Polymarket,
Okay.
they're currently giving an XRP ETF a pretty encouraging 78% chance of approval.
78%. That's high.
That's a very high probability in the world of predictions, yeah. And if this actually happens, well, it could unleash a significant influx of major capital into the XRP market. Just think about the scale of institutional funds that could then potentially enter, pension funds, mutual funds, large asset managers.
Right, the really big players.
Exactly. This potential for massive capital could significantly boost XRP's price, propelling it potentially far beyond its current levels. It would broaden the investor base dramatically, bring a whole new level of sort of mainstream acceptance and liquidity.
You create that validated, easy on-ramp for traditional finance you mentioned.
Precisely.
So looking at the current price landscape then, XRP is trading around $2.20, as we said. And while it's had a great run recently, it seems to be facing some pretty strong resistance near the $2.60 mark.
That ceiling.
Yeah. In trading terms, resistance just means it's hitting a price level where there's a lot of selling pressure. Makes it difficult for the price to break higher without, a major new catalyst pushing it through.
Right. Now, when we look at some of the analyst predictions coming out based on this news, some are quite optimistic, as you might expect.
Okay.
Some analysts believe XRP could see a really substantial rise, anywhere from, say, a 100% to maybe even a 200% increase from its current levels.
Wow. Double or triple.
Yeah. This could potentially push its price up significantly. We're seeing figures mentioned between like $6.99 and maybe even $10.
$10.
Potentially. These projections are often tied, of course, to those major catalysts we just talked about, like the approval of an XRP ETF or maybe even a potential Ripple IPO.
Right, a Ripple IPO would also be huge.
Absolutely. Both events would bring in massive new capital and exposure, really validating the asset on a global scale.
Yeah.
However, it's always important to balance that optimism with a more cautious view, right?
Always.
The cautious view also considers that maybe a significant portion of this positive sentiment might have already been priced in by the market. People were anticipating some kind of resolution for a while.
Okay, that makes sense.
So while the legal clarity is without doubt a foundational positive, some analysts suggest that this current rally we're seeing might kind of cool off if there isn't a steady stream of genuinely new positive news following the settlement.
Right, markets need fuel.
Exactly. Markets thrive on fresh catalysts. And even good news can lead to short-term consolidation as traders maybe take some profits, waiting for that next major development.
So for you listening, the key takeaway here seems pretty clear. While the current momentum is definitely strong, a sustained, clear breakout above that $3 mark for XRP, well, it would most likely depend on more positive news. And the biggest potential driver for that, as we've discussed, seems to be significant progress, or even better, an actual approval regarding an XRP ETF.
That seems to be the big one.
That's a big one to watch on the horizon that could really open the floodgates. So what we've really witnessed here with XRP's legal resolution, it marks a truly significant positive shift. It's transforming it from this state of deep legal uncertainty to a path of much clearer regulation and, frankly, exciting new opportunities.
Yeah, a clearer runway.
Exactly. And this resolution, it doesn't just benefit XRP holders, right? It fundamentally empowers Ripple's long-standing vision, building out that internet of value. And it could unlock entirely new levels of value and utility in the global financial system. It really is a testament to their perseverance, I think, and a major step forward for the asset and its mission.
Absolutely. And that brings us maybe to a final provocative thought for you to consider as we wrap up. Given this really significant legal precedent that's now been established for XRP specifically, defining it as a non-security when sold on exchanges.
Right, that distinction is crucial.
Crucial. What broader implications might this have for regulatory clarity across the entire digital asset space?
Interesting question.
Does this maybe create a kind of blueprint for other crypto projects that are facing similar is it a security allegations? Could it perhaps force the SEC to reevaluate its approach in other cases?
Right.
Or does it just highlight that each case is still going to be its own protracted, probably expensive battle? It's a question that could really shape the next chapter of this whole innovative industry. What does it mean for digital finance overall? Something to think about.